Okay. Campaign. It's different. What? Oh, no, that's right. Careers. What I was doing. In this mission, you will use what you learned in 2 previous lessons to launch the atlas into space and understand how the checklist works in the mission pad. Anyway, maybe that's what I wanted. Hey, shit. Welcome to the Atlas rocket. This is much larger launch vehicle, LE, than the Redstone launch vehicle. It has enough thrust and propellant to take you in orbit around Earth. Today we will launch it while learning about the checklist system. Yes. Start by holding the countdown. We will need some extra time on preparation. Use. Oh, what did I do? The cockpit is the same as the Redstone, so the procedures are identical. We will use the checklist found in the mission pad to follow the realistic procedures during preparations and ascent. Press M and read the briefing message tab for primer on the checklist system. And check the checklist tab when ready. Alright, so briefing, preparing for analysis, it's the same procedure, blah, blah, blah. Assignment different, there's additional half stage that needs to separate before tower launch. The final ascent before capsule separation. The ascent takes 5 minutes to reach orbital velocity. Checklist system has been designed to provide you with all the checklists needed to fly and operate all the spacecrafts in Reentry. All checklists are available from the checklist tab on the mission pad. The checklist page has a few sections used to categorize checklists. You can open a checklist by clicking on it. This will show the checklist text, and you can start reading through it. You can press down the toggle mission panel and perform checklist and drag checklist somewhere else to give you out. Whoops. You get more real estate, except for right. Or drag the checklist elsewhere to get some more real estate to, so you can work with it on the side. But how do I? Yeah. Most checklist has 2 run buttons. Pressing either will run the checklist, and a back button. Back will bring you back to the checklist section. Either of the 2 run buttons will cue the steps into the checklist guide system to help you through it. You can queue up steps from the multiple checklists. Advanced users, the rightmost run button will add the steps of the open checklist after the exiting steps of the checklist guide system, while the leftmost run button will add them for the existing steps. A switch highlighter will walk you through the checklist, highlighting out place switches. The UI will show the current step during it in the checklist and what the position of switches need to be set to. Yeah. In the checklist guide UI, the top one is the current checklist. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Use the following lines or queue of the next. I don't see the run buttons or whatever they're talking about though. Where are they? What? Run buttons. Check that. Two different checklist lines. One is to check to see if a control is in the correct position, such as switch needed to be set to up, or a fuse that needs to be closed. Another type are manual steps. These are steps are usually instructional. Alright, so if I'm in the checklist, Roger, we need to complete 2 checklists, both located under the pre-launch section, or pre-flight. Let us complete the first one manually. Open the mission pad. Checklist, pre-launch, full internal power. Read through the checklist to get familiar with all the steps. Press done when complete. Monitor capture the blast voltage and current while the blackhouse switches to internal. Request blackhouse to remove external power. Use the tools menu. Nice room battery switch. Standby. Verify all batteries in the main bus. Okay. First up is to observe the DC volts and the amps of the main bus as we covered in the previous lesson. Zoom in on the DC volt guide. Gauge. You see the toggle the circular function bubbles and locate the switch to internal power. Disconnected the launch vehicle from the umbilical power. You are now on internal power. While observing the DC volts, press the switch to internal power. That was disconnect the launch vehicle from the umbilical power. You are now on internal power. I thought we already did that. Cycle through all the batteries and monitor that their voltages are above 24 and that the isolated battery is 29. A little bit of extra juice on the standby or volts I'm not. The rest of the checklist is already complete, as the switches have been set to their correct position during ingress. Before the mission starts, verify this is by manually searching for the switches and checking their position. Did I mean this part? Launch control switch ready. No. The next checklist we need to follow today is the final checks. Locate this in the mission pad checklist and then click it to view the checklist. Already there. Read through the entire checklist to get familiar. Press done. Yep. As you might notice, these are the same steps we did in the previous. Don't worry if you do not know what the function behind the switches you interact with is. You will learn this over in the next few lessons. For now, it's the most important to learn mechanics and the basics of Ascent itself. Checklist guides system is a game mechanism designed to help you with executing checklists. It will help you find the switches you need to verify or change. I tried to run a checklist using a checklist guidance system. Ensure the final checklist is open in the missions pad, then press either of the two most identical run buttons on the lower right. Come on. Oh, I don't want to press either two. I want to press the correct one. When you press the one of the two run buttons, all the checklist steps was queued up and added to the checklist guidance system, and its UI appear. The topmost line will with transparent green. Background shows the current step it's waiting for to be executed. Okay. If the background of the current step is green, as it is now, the checklist guidance system will, by default, automatically proceed to the next step if the switch is in the correct position. This auto proceed feature can be disabled in the realism setting. The auto proceed feature basically just press the checkbox button on the right side for when the game detects that the step has been completed. If you disable the auto proceed system, you will need to press the button manually after performing this step. Most of the steps in the checklist supports the auto proceed feature. However, there are some that you'll need to press the check mark manually. These are usually related to checking values, performing radio tests, and so on. Basically, if the background of the current step is flashing, it means that you will need to manually press this check mark to proceed to the next item in the checklist. You will try this soon. The reason there are two run buttons is because you can queue up steps from multiple checklists, and this lets you decide the steps of the checklist you wish to run should be added after the existing steps, if any, or if you should wish to add it before the existing steps. This is reserved for advanced users, and you will mostly run one checklist at a time and complete it fully. No lesson will require you to queue up multiple checklists. If no steps are queued in a checklist guided system, it does not matter which of the two buttons you press. Resume the countdown and try to complete the first steps in the checklist. With auto proceed enabled, the checklist will automatically move to the next item. If this item is already in the correct position, it will move to the next immediately. Whoops. What did he say to do? Resume countdown? What was the band taser? Oh, is that launch control ready? Please resume the countdown. Follow each of the steps in the checklist guidance UI to complete the checklist. When you reach the radio check step, the active line will flash. At this point, use the radio command menu, see toggle, and radio check. When complete, press the check mark on the checklist system. Launch control ready. Perform radio test on UHF. Verify time 0 button. Cover removed. DC selector back 1. It's not auto. Oh, arm square. That's not what that meant. Final checks T5. So I think I gotta wait until I get to T5, right? Oh, that's because I accidentally did queue this up multiple times, didn't I? Whoops. Did not press anything yet, but the next instructions will ask you to use something called time scaling, as covered in the previous lesson. Like time to go forward. Yeah. Now go back to the checklist menu and select the Ascent checklist. You should read through this before admission to get familiar with it, then use time scale. Hey. Monitor port lights. Mindset of battery voltage. Cabin pressure. I've seen the 55. Monitor DC voltage. Amps and stuff. Okay. Yeah, here we go. It's just not bad.
Roger, the clock is operating. We're underway. Loud and clear. Roger, we're programming and roll okay.
Battery voltage.
Bumpy along about here. Roger. Stand by for 20 seconds. Roger. 2, 1, mark.
As the booster stage, this is the considered half stage when we remove some of the weight, as our 2 booster engines used for the initial ascent are no longer needed. The booster was stationed about 2 minutes and 10 seconds into the flight. Sick. Roger. I'm in the mission pad and mission pad. Checklist. And ascent. Slash vehicle booster engine cut off. Do not push the ramp. What? Whatever. Another little feature worth representing is the current objective feature. Using C. Yeah, we already know that. With the radio command menu by default, press can be separated by holding and binding it to the dedicated key. This shows you what the mission is waiting for. You'll be able to proceed. Complete panel configuration. Once the tower is separated, we will do an additional step to prevent the retro engines to jettison accidentally. Okay, the tower is gone. You are about halfway to orbit. The sustainer engine is now powering you for the final journey. To prevent the retro engines to jettison by accident or failure, we set the auto retro jettison switch to off. Good, then disconnect the power by opening the circuit using the retro jet fuse on the right side of the main panel. And circuit breaker has 3 positions. 1 up, off middle, and 2 down. Set it to off. Set off. Off is middle, and 2 down. Great, by doing this, you'll have some additional security around your retro engines. They are your only tool to get back to Earth once you orbit. Are in orbit. Set the mirror retrojet fuse to off. This disables power to the manual jet retro trigger button on the sequencer. As you work through the checklist, you might find you need to move it around the screen. This can be done by finding a spot on it that does not have an active UI element, such as a button, scroll view, input, blah, 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 such as a mission pack corner. Then press and hold the left mouse button and drag it around. This applies to almost any in-game window. For the rest of the ascent, monitor instruments as you learned in the previous lesson and try to get familiar with the various data points and how they change as you are ascending into orbit. Caps, excellent. You have now learned about the checklist tab and checklist system and how to run blah blah blah. You should now observe how the window has the automatic turnaround maneuver oriented the capsule to look into the retrograde direction. Now that you are in orbit, the last thing we need to do is complete the mission pad checklist orbit. So the checklist orbit, run. Follow the checklist guide system and complete the checklist. Landing bag off. Humor retro sequence fuse false. And that fuse false. Good job. You are now in orbit and have configured this capsule for overall operation. This concludes the lesson. Everybody get that? I hope so. Made. Huh? Exam. In this lesson, we will learn about the electrical power system. That stuff. That stuff. Oh, boy. Bad day to have a headache. Welcome to the electricity lesson. In this lesson, we'll take a quick look at the various systems and components related to the electrical power. Before we start, we will make a quick reconfiguration of the autopilot as we will be depowering important components which the autopilot depends on. Set the ACS mode or whatever, AC, whatever, some mode, and auxiliary on. And don't worry, we will cover what all this really means in the reaction control system lesson. And yeah. Okay, so we're turning this off. No, and turning the auxiliary on. The Mercury space capsule comes with an electrical system that is capable of producing both DC and AC electricity. DC is direct current and is supplied by 6 rechargeable zinc batteries, such each at an operating at 24 volts, approximately 24 volts. One volts differ from nominal 24 to current electrical load amps of battery capacity. How full is the battery, and can make the volts read out somewhere between 23 and 27. The main batteries are connected in the main DC bus. The main DC bus is responsible for distributing electrical power to the most of the onboard systems. 3 of these batteries are wired in parallel and are considered your main batteries. Should your main batteries fail, you have a backup standby battery. I wonder how big a battery is on a spaceship. I doubt it's like the size of like a car or truck battery. I wonder. That'd be interesting to see. I'll have to look that up. If your main batteries fail, you have the backup standby batteries. That will keep you powered for a while. The last battery is called the isolated battery and is used to give power to your very important squibs. Squibs are pyrotechnics for separation and jettison. You can check the status of the batteries by using the DC volts gauge. Yeah, but should ideally show voltage 24 to 27. Isolated battery should show 29. As mentioned, this might slightly vary based on the system load. By rotating the DC dial below, you can switch between the batteries. For example, you can set it to standby 1 to see the status of the standby 1 batteries. Yes, we know that. A low voltage on one of the batteries is a good indication that something is wrong. Okay, so one of them, they're not broken. Okay, and turn off the battery. Let's pretend the battery 1 is broken and showing a low voltage. So we're pretend sending that's a low voltage. First, switch over to the standby battery. This is done by setting the standby battery switch to on. And it will connect the standby batteries to the main DC bus. The switches that connect the batteries to the electrical system is located on the left and the right side of the seats. They can be hard to reach, but set main 1 to off. What?
You are nothing but garbage here.
Shh. Shh. Where the hell is it? Is it that? Where is it? Ah. When you are on standby batteries, you need to conserve power. We will not do this now, but this is done by shutting down systems you don't need, like the blood check. SBS, and lights, etc. A flashlight is always available and can be toggled by using the F key. The flashlight will look in the direction of the view, but will So follow the mouse cursor, try and enable the flashlight, and move the mouse cursor around, and then turn it up. Woo! An important detail is that all flight modes that operate the two reaction control systems use the whatever, the capsule covered in the next lesson are based on DC power except for something called the manual propulsion. Manual mode, you can take a note somewhere that if you are having issues with your electrical system, use this flight mode to still be able to control the capsule. Alright. Loose space travel. You know nothing. You know nothing. So, well, I don't see you online right now, dude. So, what do you want me to do, huh? Since you're not online, it's not like I'm gonna go load up Odd Remedy or anything, because you're not even on the line. So space travel it is. If you have any issues with standby batteries as well, see a low voltage on one of the batteries, you'll have one final option: to connect the isolated battery to your main bus. I am the commander, not John Cash. This is done by setting the isolated switch to standby. The isolated battery will then power the main bus in parallel with any other, if any batteries are connected. Again, turn off all systems that you don't need to keep you alive. You can use the DC amps gauge to see how much power you are consuming. You should avoid using the isolated battery this way at all costs if you have to. Try to wait until you are preparing for reentry, as the main bus load will quickly drain the isolated battery. The source of the meter is controlled by the same, so shouldn't I be turning this off? The source of the animator is controlled by the same selector used for the DC pulse gauge. Let's go back to the original setup. Set the standby battery off. Reconnect main battery 1. And ISO battery to normal, which I already did. The ACS and the fans require AC alternating current electricity. AC is generated from DC by using inverters. We have one AC inverter that provides 250 volts at 400 hertz. To the ACS system, ACS ACE SCS system. One AC inverter that provides 150 volt amperage for the fans and one final standby inverter. Yeah. You can check the status of the AC system by using AC voltage. AC voltage gauge should read between 110 and 125. Yep. You can rotate the AC knob to see the status of each inverter. Ensure that it is set the fans for now. Yep. Well, why is there blank ones? Or that many blank ones, but shouldn't standby, I don't know. Whatever. We're fine. If one of the inverters goes down, the standby inverter will kick in and illuminate the standby AC auto lights. Okay. You control what AC bus to use for the ACS by setting the ACS bus to standby off. Or norm. Keep it at norm. Okay, well then why are you highlighting it? You can also control what AC bus to use for the fans. And we'll keep it at normal. Okay. Having fans selected on the AC volts knob, you can see that it's powered correctly by having the voltage show 110 to 125. Set the AC selector to standby. Nothing is connected to standby inverter, so it should read 0 volts. Set the fan's AC bus switch to standby. Notice that the fans are now powered by the standby inverter. You can do the same for the ASCS. The standby inverter can power both the ASCS and fans. However, to avoid overloading the system, shut down all systems that are not critical for the ASCS. It is. Let's finish talking about power consumption. Make sure that the manometer is set to main. It's not main. It's normal. Power consumption should always be on your mind. As mentioned, the power consumption by your system is going to be read on the manometer. Manometer? Manometer, I don't know. Try to set the ACS switch off and notice that the impact on the manometer. The maneuver switch on the lower left side of the panel, other side, is used to turn on and off the gyros. Setting this to off will also reduce power consumption. Fuses are also a way to turn off systems. Most systems have one or many fuses connected to it. Each fuse switch has 3 positions, 1 off and 2. 1 off and 2. Each system connected to the fuse has a primary fuse, 1 and backup fuse 2. Locate the highlighted programmer fuse and set it to the middle off position. If a system isn't working, ensure the fuse is set to 1. If the system is still not functioning, set the fuse to 2. The number 2 position will be a second fuse, or in some critical systems, it is a solid conductor to ensure positive continuity. In the Mercury Flight Manual panel overview, the fuses marked in gray has a solid conductor. Pay good attention to the various battery states, power consumption, and react as soon as possible if you see something out of ordinary. Electricity produces a lot of heat, so pay attention to the cabin temperature and indicator to avoid unpleasant situations like electrical malfunction, smoke, or fire. Fire? Yeah, fire. In the mission pad checklist, you will find a dedicated section for emergency called Emergency Procedures. Find this section now. Let's find the electrical power system emergency procedures. Open the orbit emergency checklist and scroll down. Emergency procedure, and let's find the electrical power system. What? I don't see. So, emergency procedures. Find the section now. Let's find the electrical power system emergency procedures. There isn't. Hello? Eli. I just... Oh yeah, it's blood pressure I clicked on. I would recommend getting familiar with this section as far as the EPS training. Okay, well, there was no... whatever. It lied to me, so... The reaction control system RCS makes it possible for spacecraft to change its orientation in space, and this lets you learn how to use the RCS in both auto and manual modes. Welcome to the reaction control system tutorial. In this lesson, we will take a look at the various systems of the Mercury capsule that help stabilize it, as well as changing altitude relative to Earth. The Mercury space capsule comes equipped with a few systems to keep it stable and control its altitude. To do this, it needs to know where Earth's horizon is. Two mechanical cameras called the horizon scanners are detecting this. Earth emits a lot of radiation. Space does not. These scanners detect where sudden drop in radiation happens. When the scan goes from the threshold between Earth and space, one horizon scanner is used for pitch and another for roll. These are operated for periodically, so if you are suddenly changing the pitch and roll, this is the reason. The capsules come with 3 gyroscopes that indicate the altitude and 3 accelerometers for rate indication. These can be slayed to the horizon scanner to get relative date to the Earth's horizon. This is how it knows its rotation in space. The pitch horizon scanner can only look forward with a field of view of plus or minus -35 degrees. Same with roll, but it looks to the side. If you are outside the horizon scanner's field of view, the gyros will revert to free mode. When the gyros are in free mode, the altitude will change just based on thruster changes. This can introduce an error in altitude. When the horizon is detected, they will snap back into slave mode, and you will see a jump in altitude indicators. To automatically control the spacecraft in various situations, the system called the automatic stabilizer control system that is used in this mode. The spacecraft should be able to orient itself and keep human based on spacecraft phase in the mission. To maintain the change of altitude, the spacecraft is using something called the reaction control system. The system can be controlled by a automatic stabilization control system, a backup brake stabilized control system, or manual propulsion. The reaction control system consists of 18 thrusters and can alter the spacecraft's orientation. These are thrusters that are used to change the pitch, roll, yaw, or modify the capsule's angular rates. The capsules can be oriented and controlled by either an automatic mode using automatic stabilization or 3 astronaut control modes: fly-by-wire, manual propulsion, brake stabilization. Let's focus on automatic stabilization, then return to other modes later. Automatic stabilization, establish and maintain stable platform with 4 basic automatic modes: damper, orientation, altitude, hold, reentry. Let's first get familiar with the controls. In the virtual cockpit, press F6 to move the camera to the stabilization control panel in a rectangular called ACS mode select with 3 switches. Configures the system in conjunction with the 4 pull handles, a black manual pull handle, and 3 white handles and pitch and roll and yaw. Currently, the system is configured to use automatic stabilization and control system to control spacecraft fully automatic. This means that it will slave the gyros to the horizon scanners. Use the automatic RCS system to orient and maintain the spacecraft in retro altitude. 2 switches and 1 handles are used to enable full automatic control. First of all, the ACS mode must be set to normal. Whoop. In the middle, auto switch must be set to auto. Last of the black manual handle must be in the in position, like it currently is, unless you messed with it around. In this mode, the automatic phase shifter system decides the orientation. This is what rotates the spacecraft 180 degrees and yellow after the game. So region automatically rotates the spacecraft there. Too much. This is too much. Oh yeah. There are 2 reaction control systems, one for manual control called System B. The automatic stabilization control system mode we just talked about is using auto or CS and blah blah blah. System uses to enter a lead thruster based push stick called propulsion. I can't read out loud anymore. Ugh, that's the killer. What tanks? Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do some manual mode stuff. So we gotta switch it to fly-by-wire. What? You're gonna enable auxiliary damping to automatically damp out any altitude rates down to 0.5 degrees a second, and you want the spacecraft to stand still, select this mode. I don't know what you're talking about. Establish the pitch rate of plus or minus 3 seconds. This can be achieved by using and by wiring the rates indicator. Each dot is up approximately 1 degree second thrust, so the pitch rate needle is at third dot. Press regular 1 dot. Oh boy. What dots are they talking about? We don't have any dots. You can easily get to the middle on the keyboard. Let's go back to full stabilization. Switch distance already to normal. Yeah. This is intense. I play lots of reading. Okay. This also we will look at the environmental control system responsible for maintaining temperature, providing you with oxygen and water. What? Or another cookie. Another cookie. Cookies. Cookies. Huh? Ooh. Wait on the social bakers. Where's the soup pressure? Oh, same tab. Alright, the sequencer retrograde burn and the sequencer programmer is what controls the stage phase of the mission you are in from launch of reentry landing, and the lesson we will learn how it works. We will then use it to perform the retrograde burn and then splash down in the Atlantic Ocean. On the sequencer retrograde landing lesson. Okay. Sequencer will then use now in the speeder to burn when they splash on the Atlantic Ocean. Well, time. So, eject tower in case the tower is about to jettison. Illuminate red. 2 seconds before jettison and turn green. The jettison is okay. Capsule step will illuminate red for a few seconds. And the capsule separation from the LV will turn green if the encapsulation is okay. Retro 6 will turn red when the retro signals are started, and the green will complete it. It is started when the time to retro timer reaches 0. Or the execute button next to the light is pressed. Retrograde is what enables you to fire the retro engines for reentry. The retro sequence will normally start 40 seconds before ignition. The retro delay switch on means the retro fire sequence will start 40 seconds after the retro sequence illumination, or else until the instant. Retro indicator shows you are correct altitude required for automatic retro fire. It will not fire automatically if the capsule is outside the range of the retro altitude. This is important as burning retro engines in the long Russian may make it impossible to get back to Earth. Red is outside correct altitude, green is inside correct altitude. The retro altitude switch can be used to bypass retro altitude requirement. This is useful if there are malfunctions in gyro altitude or SCS system. Retro will be red 10 seconds before retro engines are fired. The retro is being manually fired by pressing the button next to the light. It will be green when the fire retro is completed. To the other side of the panel. The retro warns until the retro are about to start and cancel some. That's wrong. 60 seconds after retro fire, the retro engines will be jettisoned. Retro jet be red 2 seconds before jettison and green. If jettison was okay. After retro jettison in place, the altitude select. Switch to reentry. So let's see it. Precision the capsule to reentry total altitude. This is now learn how to craft the end, so always be prepared to help this even you control smoothly. Let's see. 0.5 G's when the acceleration is detected. Ace up the capsule on. Are we going in? No. What? Okay, so open the mission pad checklist. Pre-retro. Run checklist. Three minutes before retrograde, the checklist will ask you to configure the temperature settings. Maximum coolness could soak the cabin before entry. This is because temperatures will rise during and re-entry. Follow the next 3 steps, then press Roger when you have set. Follow the next 3 steps. Okay, so this is step 1. Suit temp 7. Cabin temp 7. Inverse temp 7. Roger. Use time scale 15 minutes before retrograde, then push Roger to continue lesson. The checklist will now ensure that the needed fuses systems are set up to ignite the retrograde. Also ensure that the retrograde engines can be jettisoned to complete the steps with burst control, clear all, and maintain retro to stuff that's flashing. What? We press clear all when to maintain retro altitude. Maintain retro altitude. Press the clear off. Alright, so the next checklist will make sure it's automatic run. Mission bad checklist entry. Retro checklist. We will not use the time to retrograde timer along with the checklist guidance system to verify that the correct sequence or events happen. 5 minutes before the retrograde sequence starts, the 5-minute to retrograde light on the satellite clock will illuminate. Press Roger when it is illuminated. The next event will be the start of our retro sequence. During the sequence, you can use the second panel of the satellite clock on the marks of the clock can be used to time things. Use time scale until retro sequence starts. What? The retro sequence is starting and the retro sequence light should be green. There are seconds using satellite clock. At 20 seconds after this, an audio tone warns that the retrograde is about to fire. Remember that you can silence that alarm if you wish. The retrograde engines will then fire 20 seconds after the warning tone. The retrograde engines will fire at one time. Retro engine number 1 will immediately fire. 5 seconds after number 2 engine will fire, and then 5 seconds after number 2 is fired, and number 3 will fire. The engine will burn for about 10 seconds. Ignition. All 3 retro engines will not fire one at a time. Use the satellite clock to count seconds again. There's 5 second delay between each engine ignition, each burning for 10 seconds. Complete the checklist and skip the last. Start retro checklist. Step using the check mark. What? The time scale thing's not working. That's because this is one of those parts that you can't, skip. Okay, so reentry. Check auto retro on. Auto retro jet. Retro jet fuse true. Not to retro. Yeah. There goes the retro engines. Good job. The next part will be configured to maneuver any entry altitude as we did earlier. Continue with the checklist and position and craft reentry. When the capsule decks and the entry begins at the respond, the craft will start to roll and go through atmosphere. Use the low time scale unit until then. This should be happening around 1 hour and 40 minutes in mission timer. Time scale will automatically stop at this time. Okay, the capsule is now touching the atmosphere and entry will shortly begin. Clear all the complete whatever. Next, we're going to hit the atmosphere and G's will start to build. Let the capsule fly through the upper atmosphere for a couple of minutes. Okay, the G's are building first now, and point the mission timer checklist. Landing. Most of the entry is on that gun job is the monitor G load and altitude, and ACS will take you through the atmosphere. Okay, we're through. Let us take a look at the checklist. First thing we want to do is connect it and deploy fuse, and this should be set and will allow you to deploy the drone manual if needed. Huh? And 100. Now what? I guess auxiliary brakes actually dominate fixed right through the cabin. Next up is the main chutes. It will also automatically deploy at 10.8 feet. Sweet! Means you're not at this point, the RCS fuel will automatically dump and the landing bag will extend. The landing bag is a pillow used to soften our impact with the water. The fuel warning light will illuminate, be sure to silence it. The next event is to splash down into the ocean. I think it's not going down any further until I push this. Because I'm territorial. UHF DF.RT. Huh? Where's the landing bag? Excellent. We now have impact and splashdown. The entry using the sequence. Blah 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 blah. All right. Do the last step. Or is it? Wait. I can't select it. Oh. This lesson will guide you through the full mission from the launch of the re-entry and you will use all the blah, 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 the real astronaut. We're gonna die. We're gonna die. Actually, you know what? Life. Quick break before we start the actual mission.